Hi viewers, welcome back to InfoMe. Hope you enjoyed the previous video. Thank you for your support. Those who are not yet subscribed the channel, please subscribe, press the bell button. So, we are starting our today's session and the subject is Columbia Space Shuttle. We are all familiar about the disaster of Columbia Space Shuttle. On February 1st, 2003, Columbia Space Shuttle disintegrated upon re-entering the Earth atmosphere, killing all 7 crew members. But the journey of Space Shuttle Columbia is a long one. It started far before. Columbia Space Shuttle. Space Shuttle Columbia Orbiter Vehicle Designation OV-102 was the first space-rated orbiter in NASA's Space Shuttle fleet. It launched for the first time on mission STS-1 on April 12, 1981, the first flight of the Space Shuttle program. Over 22 years of service, it completed 27 missions before disintegrating during re-entry near the end of its 28th mission, STS-107 on February 1, 2003, resulting in the death of all 7 crew members. Rise of Columbia. Construction began on Columbia in 1975 at Rockwell's International, formerly North American Aviation, or North American Rockwell Principal Assembly Facility in Palmdale, California, a suburb of Los Angeles. Columbia was named after the American sloop Columbia Rediviva, which from 1787 to 1793, under the command of Captain Robert Gray, explored the US Pacific Northwest and became the first American vessel to circumnavigate the globe. It is also named after the command module of Apollo 11, the first manned landing on another celestial body. Columbia was also the female symbol of the United States. After construction, the orbiter arrived at Kennedy Space Center on March 25, 1979 to prepare for its first launch. Columbia was originally scheduled to lift off in late 1979. However, the launch date was delayed by problems with both the Space Shuttle main engine as well as the thermal protection system. Columbia was successfully launched on April 12, 1981, the 20th anniversary of the first human space flight, Vostok 1, and returned on April 14, 1981 after orbiting the Earth 36 times, landing on the dry lakebed runway at Edwards Air Force Base in California. Columbia then undertook 3 further research missions to test its technical characteristics and performance. Its first operational mission with a 4-man crew was STS-5, which launched on November 11, 1982. At this point, Columbia was joined by Challenger, which flew the next 3 shuttle missions. While Columbia underwent modification for the first Spacelab mission, Columbia flew 28 missions, a total of 300 days, 17 hours, 40 minutes and 22 seconds in space. Columbia deployed 8 satellites. First flight of Columbia was STS-1 from April 12, 1981 to April 14, 1981. And the last flight was STS-107, January 16, 2003 and destroyed upon re-entering Earth atmosphere on February 1, 2003. During the launch of STS-107, Columbia's 28th mission, a piece of foam insulation broke off from the Space Shuttle external tank and struck the left wing of the orbiter. Crew members. Commander Rick D. Husband, a U.S. Air Force colonel and mechanical engineer who piloted a previous shuttle during the first docking with the International Space Station STS-96. Pilot William C. McCool, a U.S. Navy commander. Payload Commander Michael P. Anderson, a U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel, physicist and mission specialist who was in charge of the science mission. Payload Specialist Ilan Ramon, a colonel in the Israeli Air Force and the first Israeli astronaut. Mission Specialist Kalpana Chawla, aerospace engineer who was on her second space mission. Mission Specialist David M. Brown, a U.S. Navy captain trained as an aviator and flight surgeon. Brown worked on scientific experiments. Mission Specialist Laurel Blair Salton Clark, a U.S. Navy captain and flight surgeon. Clark worked on biological experiments. February 1st, 2003. The shuttle made its usual landing approach to the Kennedy Space Center just before 9 a.m. However, abnormal readings showed up at mission control. Temperature readings from sensors located on the left wing were lost. Then, tire pressure readings from the left side of the shuttle also vanished. The Capcom, or spacecraft communicator, called up to Columbia to discuss the tire pressure readings at 8:59:32 a.m. has been called back from Columbia. Roger, followed by a word that was cut off in mid-sentence. At that point, Columbia was near Dallas, traveling 18 times the speed of sound and still 200,700 feet above the ground. Mission Control made several attempts to get in touch with astronauts with no success. It was later found that a hole on the left wing allowed atmospheric gases to bleed into the shuttle as it went through its ferry re-entry, leading to the loss of the sensors and eventually Columbia itself. Presidential response. President George W. Bush said, "This day has brought terrible news and great sadness to our country. The Columbia is lost. There are no survivors despite the disaster," Bush said. "The cause in which they died will continue. Our journey into space will go on." Bush later declared East Texas a federal disaster area, allowing federal agencies to help with the recovery effort. Columbia Memorials. On February 4, 2003, President George W. Bush and his wife Laura led a memorial service for the astronauts' families at the Lyndon B. Johnson Space Center. 2 days later, Vice President Dick Cheney and his wife Lynn led a similar service at Washington National Cathedral. Patti LaBelle sang "Way Up There" as a part of the service. NASA named several places in honor of the Columbia and the crew. 7 asteroids discovered in July 2001 at the Mount Palomar Observatory were officially given the names of the 7 astronauts: 51823 Rick Husband, 51824 Mike Anderson, 51825 David Brown, 51826 Kalpana Chawla, 51827 Laurel Clark, 51828 Ilan Ramon, 51829 Willie McCool. On Mars, the landing site of the rover Spirit was named Columbia Memorial Station and included a memorial plaque to the Columbia crew mounted on the back of the high-gain antenna. A complex of 7 hills east of the Spirit landing site was dubbed the Columbia Hills. Each of the 7 hills was individually named for a member of the crew and husband. Books about Columbia. Bringing Columbia Home: The Untold Story of Lost Space Shuttle and Her Crew. Com Check. Into the Black: The Extraordinary Untold Story of the First Flight of the Space. Space Shuttle Columbia: Her Missions and Crews. 16 Minutes from Home: The Columbia Space Shuttle Tragedy. Columbia Space Shuttle Explosion and Space Exploration. The journey matters as much as the goal. This is a famous verse by Kalpana Chawla. This is for the day. Thank you for your support.